I have a lot of people that come to me and are a little confused about the identity abuse theory and want to understand a little bit more about their personal journey and how it's been affected by the abuse in their past. And sometimes they don't really actually understand that they've had abuse in their past, and they will attribute their issues to their own sense of self. And oftentimes I hear people say, I'm just broken, and trying to help them understand that they're not broken, but the way they think about themselves is broken. And so one of the things that I've asked people to do is to envision freedom. If you could envision a moment in time where you were actually just free from everything that plagues you, everything that you worry about, things that you stress about, what would that look like? And think about what scenario would you be in a moment of calmness and peace. And then think about what are the things in your life now that don't fit into that picture. What are the thoughts and anxieties that you have to get rid of in order to stand in that moment? And try to figure out, when did those thoughts start? What is the origination of the anxiety or the frustration? And what are the circumstances around those thoughts that created those thoughts? And sometimes it's hard to figure out. And oftentimes I hear people say, well, my parents did thus and so, or my caregivers did thus and so, but we have a different relationship now, and so it's not relevant. And I try to explain to them that regardless of their current situation, the thoughts and patterns and perceptions of life were changed as a child, and their situation may be different, but those patterns will follow them into adulthood. And it's not a matter of finding fault or blaming somebody, but it's a matter of understanding what is it that really happened to me that caused me to believe things about myself that really aren't true, or that caused me duress in life. And the untrue part is hard for some people to understand, because I can say they're untrue, but they'll say, well, it's obvious that they're true because everybody keeps telling me this, that, and the other thing, or I've proven to myself by my myriad of mistakes that I continue to make daily that prove these things about myself. And I try to remind them that because their lens of life was changed by the circumstances of their life, they can't see themselves accurately. And so when I tell them to learn to believe the things that God says about them, it's almost impossible, because the depth of belief of their self is so ingrained over so many years that they just feel that it's impossible. Well, there's some people who have blocked out their memories that they were so painful that they can't remember, or the situations are so obscure, or they were actually too young to even have memory. That doesn't disclude the understanding that this came from something in my past, but to be able to understand that it's not, if God were your parent, those thoughts about yourself would have never occurred. And understanding that He would have loved on you and nurtured you and fed you with thoughts of who you could become, and listened to your heart and dreamed with you about the days ahead, and encouraged you to express yourself and expand yourself and to explore the world. And if that were true about you as in your early forming years, then you would enjoy you wouldn't even be thinking about yourself in a negative standpoint. You would be anticipating the next day, the next moment, what is coming in life, and enjoying it, rather than thinking, am I adequate enough to even experience life? And so there are times when people say, I don't want to go back and relive all that. Well, the point isn't to go back and relive it all. It's really just to understand where it originated from. And even if you can't remember the specific memories, it's important to understand that it was something a message that was given to you by somebody else. It wasn't something that you did that was so bad. I had one person who had a horrific childhood and really believed that if he was a better kid, that stuff would have never happened to him, that nobody would treat anybody that way unless there was really something wrong with them. And yet, when I asked him, what if we took your son, who was at that point a teenager, and had him go through all of the same things that you went through? Would you expect him to grow up to be a healthy citizen in society and to be able to enjoy life and have fun? And he said no. And I asked him, can you give yourself the same grace that you survived And it's not because you were bad that these things happened to you. It's the people were bad that raised you. And that's where it comes back to belief. Can you choose to believe that? Can you cognitively follow the train of, I see how other people have fed into this sense of self that I own, and that it's not God, and that when I listen to God, I'm more apt to listen to other people than I am to God. It's hard for me to hear God. It's hard for me to believe God, because what I see and live and breathe every day is so opposing to the things that He has said about me. And I think that we can go back to the phrases of be in the world but not of the world. And can you do that? Can you reach beyond what you see every day and hear every day to the truths of the spirit world of God, and choose to believe what He says is true about you, and how much He cherishes you and values you, and mourns over the things that you went through that cause you to believe things about yourself that are so not true. He so desperately wants you to understand how much He loves you and cares about you and thinks about you every day, and had a life path for you from the moment that you were designed by Him. And He grieves over the fact that you weren't able to find that, or you weren't shown that at an early age, and that you had to go through all the searching and wandering and find yourself at this point in life wondering what went wrong with you. And it really wasn't what went wrong with you. It was what other people did that was inappropriate, that caused you to believe these things about yourself.